What's going on, guys? My name's Spence,
And I'm Mitch.
and we're two brothers that really love King of the Hill, and we are reviewing every single episode in the series, and today we're on to Season 2, Episode 13, Snow Job.
Snow job. The snow hits Arlen, Texas, and they have a harsh reaction.
Yeah, and I'd love to know from people who live in Texas how often it actually does end up snowing in Texas. I imagine that it's not very often. I remember I had a chat with a guy recently who moved up here to northern Canada from Texas, and people would ask him like, "How do you deal with extreme weather changes?" Because up here, because it gets like to negative 40 degrees, and people say, "Oh, it gets so cold that your car doesn't start." And the guy's like, "Yeah, in Texas it gets so hot that your car doesn't start."
That's awesome.
So it's like just the same problems, just different extremes.
That's right. Yeah, it gets so cold that diesel gels in a running generator.
Yeah, it can get pretty brutal up here if you're not prepared. But fortunately for the Strickland Propane company picnic, they have propane on their side to heat their outing.
It turns summer into winter,
It heats everything all the time. It's used for so many different things.
especially grilling and barbecuing, because I spent a little bit of time in Virginia, and I know that you guys live by barbecue. It's a way of life.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to barbecue when it's shorts and t-shirt weather almost all year round. But we get our first introduction to Vickers, the antagonist for this episode.
This guy's got to be. Boy, I hated the archaeologist guy, but I think Vickers is right up there with him.
Hey Vickers, who do you like for the Super Bowl next year? The Doopy Loopies or the Shimmy Shammies?
Okay, very funny. But I like the Bills.
Yeah, he's a pretty big douchebag for sure. And like we were talking about before the show, he exemplifies this whole white collar, blue collar divide, the divide between the academic people and the people on the ground. I love this scene where all the cars are smashing into each other even though there's no snow on the ground.
I like the scene with Hank kissing Peggy goodbye when he has to go do his job. Duty calls.
But anyway, as you were saying about our blue collar, white collar divide,
I think that's present in a lot of industries. Like we were talking before the show, you were in law enforcement, you've seen the same sort of thing. And for me, it's my arch nemesis is safety officers. It's hard to have a safety officer to tell you to put your glasses back on when it's plus 38 degrees out and you can't see because of the sweat in your eyes, and they go back into their air conditioned office.
yeah, there's always a divide between the people who work in their offices and the people who are actually on the front lines doing their job.
Why can't we just merge them together?
Yeah, and I think that's the way to go, right? The people who can go and get the academic learning or whatever you want to say, but still maintain that practical experience are probably the best.
Yeah, they're the real leaders, I think.
And Hank's in control, calling all the shots, doing an excellent job as usual. And Strickland is really pumping his tires.
Pumping his tires to Bobby, too, which must feel pretty good.
Yeah, 100%. I like Bobby's little innocent question about why they didn't get a Strickland propane calendar.
I wouldn't have minded a Strickland propane calendar kicking around our place when I was Bobby's age.
Yeah. And then Buck here is overheating, overviewing all the scantily clad women.
I like how he just starts pouring sweat.
Yeah. He starts to have an infarction or some sort of heart attack, mini heart attack.
I meant to look up what an infarction was, but I actually haven't heard that before, other than this episode.
I think it's like a mini heart attack, but watch me be
No.
completely wrong.
Yeah, but you're not a doctor.
And I love this scene. This is a great visual scene where he's doing half the snow angel.
Bobby says you're doing it wrong.
We're going to learn here that Hank is going to get a pretty serious blow to his ego because he's suiting up and it looks like he's going to be the one that has to take charge of the ship. But good old Buck stabs him in the back. I remember I watched this YouTube video long ago where it like rated all of the King of the Hill characters from the most moral to the least moral. And I thought that for sure Cotton was going to be the least moral, but the guy actually said that Buck Strickland was the least moral character in the show, and Cotton was the second least.
I would have given it to Nancy.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think Nancy was number 3, but
No, she was a contender for 1 or 2 at least.
yeah, she fucking sucks. She sucks.
Oh yeah.
But Hank is just completely devastated to learn that Vickers is going to be the one running the ship. And I can't understand what the fuck Buck was thinking here.
I can't either. A guy like Buck, who's supposed to be like old school and knowing things, has a high EQ, and that's how he runs a successful business, would put someone like Hank in charge, obviously, over a suit. What about Dale's extremely rudimentary manipulation tactics? Gives Peggy a can of, I think it's water chestnuts.
Oh, so he'll owe her.
Yeah, so Peggy will owe him.
Yeah, Dale's always the kind of guy who will never let a good crisis go to waste.
Chaos is cash.
And now we have the academic learning in action, where Vickers decides that he is going to implement peak demand pricing.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah, where he's basically going to say we're going to overcharge and increase our prices because demand is skyrocketing. And it's funny, this is what Uber does, right? When during holidays and during high demand times that they actually raise their prices.
That's understandable, but a crisis is different.
Oh, I bet you they would 100% raise their prices in a crisis. There's an earthquake, guess what? You're paying $200 for an Uber.
We need more people to not do things like that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, and that's great to see that Hank has the right instincts, that he's asking, you're going to screw people over here in this time of need.
When people need you most?
Yeah. What the hell did Dale give Bill again? Pumpkin?
Yeah, you get pumpkin pie mix.
Get Bill eating it. That's another great Dale quote here.
Someone's got to teach that Vickers a lesson. If you want, I can show you how to make a bomb out of a roll of toilet paper and a stick of dynamite.
Oh, yeah, and then we got another real low blow by Vickers here. Controversial choice where he's putting tattlers in the trucks. Joe Jack can't take Bobby to school or back home or wherever he needs to go. I can't remember exactly where.
There's certain things you just can't do to people like operators and tradespeople. You let them get away with certain things or else they will rebel and revolt.
Yeah, 100%. They want to feel like they're being treated like human beings.
I didn't get the scene where Hank's scrubbing dog slobber off of his arms. I've never seen anybody do that before.
Hank does. He's a guy that likes to maintain a certain level of cleanliness.
You never see Hank with even 5 o'clock shadow. Nothing.
Yeah, he wants to be clean all the time. And I did think that this was weird when I was watching this for review, to feel so broken up about having a electric stove indoors. In the States, like, gas ranges are a little bit more common than they are up here. But indoors, electricity is the way to go.
For sure. And normally a gas range would be natural gas, not propane.
Yeah, so I don't get why Hank is so busted up about it. I don't think that even he has a propane stove in his house.
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought of that.
If Buck was there, yeah, he didn't have a propane grill, or heaven forbid, was using charcoal, I can get Hank's betrayal, but yeah.
Could you imagine our old man of building a steel home, though?
No, that's true, yeah.
He had the passion for wood that Hank has for propane.
Yeah, and he always likes to trash buildings with too much steel in them anytime we go somewhere.
Me and him really butt heads over it. We've almost come to blows a couple of times. We have the drivers walk out, which is something that happens quite frequently still. Walkouts, I've been on 2 of them.
Yeah, before I quit my job, actually, they all just voted to strike. So I missed that boat big time.
I've been on several strike boats too. I always say strike because I'm not going to be there very long. But yes,
yeah, I too always vote to strike.
Because why not?
Yeah, exactly. I've never seen a strike I didn't like, so that's just my opinion. But we get Vickers getting the axe here. Them removing the tattlers and all the operators walking off was the final straw for Buck, which, how, again, like we said, you didn't see that happening. I don't understand at all. But you know what? I guess, yeah, Buck just shit the bed on this one. Vickers is double screwed because all the operators had a special license that allowed them to drive hazardous material trucks. So it's not like you can just have anybody do it.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not just hazardous materials. You also need a Class 1 license.
Yeah, you definitely need someone with specialized training to do that job. And yeah, Vickers didn't even think about that for a second.
He thinks his MBA alumni can waltz in there and just drive a semi
Yeah, good luck with that. Fuck.
loaded with hazardous materials.
And Hank has decided that he is just going to go on a little bit of a hiatus here, try and reevaluate his life because he's so betrayed and so distraught that he doesn't know what to do with himself right now.
I like how he's skipping charcoal briquettes across the water. I always wondered if they'd skip.
Honestly, when it comes to cooking myself, I almost never cook with charcoal, not because I have some kind of hatred of it or anything like that. It's just so fucking inconvenient to use.
Do you use charcoal to smoke at all?
No, I have smoking pellets, and my smoker is a propane smoker anyway.
Oh, yeah. I thought the old school way was like charcoal and mesquite.
You're probably right.
Any Texas or Southern listeners out there who are into barbecuing, we would love to hear how you do it.
Yeah, I would love to hear how good old-fashioned Texas smoke goes down.
Because we don't know. We're pretty much wood pellets up here.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I just got a wood pellet smoker with a propane fuel source. And honestly, I love it, man. There's something magical about smoking a piece of meat. It totally changes the game. Yeah, it changes the game completely.
So good.
So Hank has decided that he's going to open a general store. He was influenced by the Ma and Pa store so much that he's going to quit the propane business and start a general store.
We don't care about a buck here or there. Now I know why they call you Pa. 'Cause you're pathetic.
And I know why they call you Ma. 'Cause you're always riding my ass.
People over pennies.
And yeah, he even is able to talk Peggy into it somehow.
That seems a bit far-fetched, though, that he could just convince Peggy like that.
Yeah, no kidding, because Peggy's a pretty stubborn lady, as we've come to know.
For sure. She's a lot like my wife, and they're both incredibly hard to sway.
I was going to say, could you convince your wife to do something like that? Drop everything and start a general store?
Not a hope. No chance.
But Hank ends up abandoning his plan because people need him. The whole world fell to shit while he was gone. And by the end of it, he realized that he needs to be back doing what he loves.
That is such a great lesson. You got to put the needs of the many over your own personal gain.
But there you go. I think Spock said that.
Really?
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. With Vickers gone, Hank marches in there like the man he is.
I mean, the best, I like how Buck thinks that Hank has come in to dance on his grave, but Hank comes in and says, no, the town needs me. I'm getting back out there.
Yeah, and he also has a plan to solve the no drivers issue.
Even though this plan is completely unfeasible, there's no way in hell a standard tow truck could tow a semi with a tank full of propane.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take your word for that because I have no idea. Either way, it makes for a great ending.
It does. He circumvented the rule.
That brings us to the end of Snow Job here and another great episode. What'd you think, Mitch?
I really love this episode, and I really loved everything that it stood for. It, on the downside, though, it did lack the humor. It did lack the belly laughs that I'm used to with King of the Hill, so I'm going to keep it at an 8.5.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was going to go with as well. I think it's 8.5 episode. It's got a lot of interesting things to say, I think. And it also shows us another good side of Hank, that he is just such a dependable guy who can always come through in a crisis. Although the IMDb crowd didn't like it as much as we did. They gave it a 7.2, which is on the mediocre side for sure. But fuck those guys as usual. And then with that out of the way, we'll be sailing on into next week, which is episode 14. I Remember Mono.
This one I am truly excited for. I almost want to bring my wife in as a guest star on this one.
Oh, really? Do you want to tease why?
Oh, because we watched this episode together. She would have had the exact same reaction to the storyline.
As Peggy did?
Especially when Peggy broke the 3 ribs in the side of beef.
Oh, man. I can't wait to get to it. We'll be looking forward to it, and we hope you guys come and sit down and watch it with us next week. And until that time, hopefully you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. See you guys later.
Dang it, no!
Mr. Strickland, you gotta use both arms, like me.